You ever hit your daily swipe limit on a dating app and feel more exhausted than if you'd actually been on 3 real dates? That's the first sign of swipe fatigue, a special kind of burnout where romance feels like scrolling a clearance rack and nothing you tap leaves a dent. We're supposed to be living in a golden age of choice, but most of us feel lonelier than our grandparents ever did. Let's talk about why. The simplest way to say it is that we've turned one another into consumables. When meaning leaked out of the culture, the remaining currencies were sex, money, adventure, and novelty. So dating apps market humans the same way streaming services market shows. Bored, don't rewatch, just next, next, next. Nietzsche warned that once shared purpose died, people would numb themselves with distractions or chase ever faster hits of stimulation. Congratulations, we're doing both. Hollywood sold us on the idea that relationships should feel like a continuous montage. Road trips, champagne, sunset laughter, so anything less cinematic feels defective. Social media doubled down. You post a couple pic and get dopamine confetti. You break up and the feed barely hiccups before rewarding you with new eyeballs. For men, the cheap high is porn, fast visuals, no conversation, zero vulnerability. For women, it's attention on Instagram or TikTok, hundreds of micro affirmations that deliver the same dopamine but evaporate after 10 minutes. Carl Jung called behavior like this living on the surface of the self, where you chase momentary feelings rather than engage the depths that make you whole. Nobody is really searching for the right person anymore, because that would mean slowing down, risking silence, risking self-confrontation in another soul's mirror. Instead, we audition each other. Are you fun enough tonight? Hot enough for my grid? Rich enough to elevate my lifestyle? Tall enough for heels in our selfies? If not, thanks for the drink. Best of luck. And if you confess that you actually want a spouse and kids, people look at you like you're carrying a rotary phone to a 5G convention. A man who says, "I want a wife," is told he'd better have 7 figures and 6-pack abs, or forget it. A woman who says, "I want to be a mother," gets lectures about being a slave to the patriarchy, usually from friends who spend weekends hoping some half-interested guy texts them back with a fire emoji. They call family dependence, but dependence on strangers' validation all day? Apparently, that's liberation. Machiavelli noted how easy it is for power structures to invert language, so virtue sounds like vice, and vice like virtue. Swap wife for pick-me, and husband for simp, and you get modern slang. Dating apps? They're slot machines with selfies. The business model relies on keeping you unsatisfied, so perfect matches are bad for revenue. We used to meet partners through friends, church groups, college lectures, networks with social friction. If you ghosted someone, you risked side-eye at the next barbecue. Accountability bred commitment. Now you can vanish after a hookup without consequence, so the hookup becomes the default beginning. We're doing the most intimate act humans can share. No condoms stop oxytocin, and we're doing it with people whose last names we never bothered to ask. Everything turns into numbers. Body count, follower count, salary, height in centimeters. People say they don't care, but they filter profiles by those stats like they're trying to optimize a macro in Excel. All that optimization wrecks the mystery that fuels genuine attraction. Jung called intimacy the meeting of two natures, not the merger of two resumes. It's not just hookup culture. It's what philosopher Albert Camus labeled the absurd. We know we crave lasting bonds, yet we pursue habits guaranteed to sabotage them. We swipe for novelty, but secretly ache for familiarity. We build the conditions for betrayal, easy DM access, polycurious flirtations, and then act shocked when trust collapses. Cheating becomes normal because the cost is low. A new body is one emoji away. Honor sounds medieval, so we replace it with vibe checks and disposable experiences. Meanwhile, men quietly calculate how rich, tall, and status-proof they must become just to be noticed. Every dating coach reel screams, "Level up or stay lonely." Many guys shrug and retreat to video games and OnlyFans, because those arenas don't humiliate them for not measuring up. Confidence shrivels, bitterness festers, and the gender conversation becomes an arms race of blame. Women aren't winning either. The more attention a woman siphons online, the less any single man's attention feels special, and soon she's trapped refreshing her DMs for the next micro high. It's a hamster wheel powered by hormones. Dopamine from novelty, oxytocin from hookups, cortisol from ghosting. No wonder everyone's tired. Family formation plummets, birth rates dive, nations panic about future tax bases. Yet the culture still frames parenthood as a downgrade from solo freedom. The joke is, we're not really free. We're indentured to our impulses, outsourcing meaning to blue light rectangles. We call that progress. So, is there a way out? Yes, but it's analog, not digital. Start by treating dating the way craftsmen once treated stone and wood. Slow, deliberate, respectful of the material. Close the apps for 30 days and meet people through actual communities. Gyms, volunteer groups, churches, book clubs, language classes. Anywhere repeated interactions force you to develop rapport beyond face and bio. When you do date, skip the bar crawl. Cook dinner together, walk through a museum, tackle a thrift store furniture flip, do something that embeds time and cooperation into the interaction. Men, forget chasing every woman's attention and aim for one woman's admiration, earned through integrity more than income. Women, test for character the way you test for height. Loyalty outlasts inches. Both of you, guard intimacy like it's plutonium. Sex cements emotion. Ration it like glue, not confetti. Nietzsche's antidote to nihilism was to create values worth sacrifice. Monogamy can be one if you build it consciously. And talk, really talk. Ask questions you can't answer with emojis. What scares you? What fascinates you at 2 a.m.? What childhood wound still bleeds? Shallow conversation is symptom, not cause. Depth starves procrastination dating to death. You can't juggle 10 situationships if each requires actual vulnerability. If that feels impossible, start ugly. Text someone you respect and admit you're tired of the swipe carousel. Invite them to coffee without filters or expectations. When you feel the urge to multi-date, ask if more options ever made you happier in the long run. Machiavelli said people trade freedom for the illusion of more choices. Refuse that trade. Dating with soul is slower, scarier, but you'll sleep better. Instead of counting bodies, you'll count shared memories. Instead of screenshots, you'll have stories. Instead of feeling like a product on a shelf, you'll feel like a person building a life. If any of this resonates, drop a comment about the most honest connection you've had. Maybe it didn't last, but it felt real. And tell us one step you'll take to make that your baseline instead of a miracle. And if you want more straight talk about carving meaning out of modern chaos, hit subscribe. Let's retire swipe fatigue for good and build something worth handing down.